So DTI has just been accused of stealing, and while the DTI team is no stranger to controversy, this situation is a little bit different. And that's because the person making the accusation is someone well known within the community who has actually publicly spoken out and is calling for accountability. This isn't the first time that DTI has faced claims like this. Last Halloween, the team was accused of copying a shoe design from a small independent artist without permission, and now just this past week, a similar controversy has emerged, this time involving a digital makeup look created by the artist Pyro Pizzazz. I actually got the opportunity to speak directly with Pyro about the situation, and she was incredibly candid and open about her experience. So let's break down exactly what happened, hear her perspective, and take a closer look at that controversy. First things first, what exactly is the accusation? This July, Dress to Impress released its summer update, themed around Brazil with a strong beach vibe. The update included more than 60 new additional items to the game, including 18 brand new makeup looks. But almost immediately, players noticed that one of those faces looked surprisingly similar to a fan-made makeup concept created nearly 4 months earlier by the community artist Pyro Pizzazz. So when you look at these two side by side, you really can't ignore the similarities. But would the DTI team actually copy a well-known community artist? Pyro isn't just like a random player posting her fan art. She's arguably one of the most recognizable digital makeup artists within the DTI community, in my opinion, and her work actually regularly goes viral. So if someone on the development team intentionally copied her design, that would be really bold of them to do that. So what actually happened? The makeup look in question was created by Alun, one of Dress to Impress's concept and makeup artists. Alun herself is no stranger to controversy, unfortunately. You may remember, during the spring update, she became the target of a significant harassment campaign after releasing several makeup faces during that event that many players criticized. Some of the proportions of the faces were slightly different, and players were not having it. The backlash became so severe that she even eventually made a public statement asking the community to just chill out and stop bullying her. So because of that history, I was legit surprised to hear allegations that she may have copied another artist's work. Like, if that's true, like, girl, she's gotta be addicted to negative attention.
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama.
So all of this started when almost immediately after DTI released the sneak peek of these makeup looks for the Brazil update, Pyro clocked the similarities to the look that she had created and took to Reddit, voicing that she felt that they had ripped off her design. And naturally, much of the community was shocked by the similarities too and wanted answers from the dev team. Through all of this, eventually, Pyro was able to speak directly with the members of the development team, and Alun also released a public statement on the official DTI Discord explaining that she did not copy Pyro's artwork.
At no point did I admit to copying or taking inspiration from her work, as that was not the case. Any similarities were purely coincidental.
Instead, she believed that both artists had sort of independently drawn inspiration from the same reference images, and she specifically pointed towards a 2024 Instagram post by the model Tamir Yvonne. And like I mentioned, I did get a chance to speak directly to Pyro, and she's great. We had originally planned to actually do a sit-down interview, which I was very looking forward to, but unfortunately, scheduling conflicts got in the way, but I'm still hopeful maybe she'll join us for a future episode. So if you'd like to see that, let her know. Anyway, even so, my conversation with her gave me a better understanding of where she was coming from, and a better understanding of why this has been so painful for her. Pyro, clearly an amazing artist, actually applied to become a digital makeup artist for Dress to Impress, but unfortunately wasn't accepted into the role. And this fact that she was quote-unquote rejected made some players claim that the only reason she was accusing DTI of stealing her work is because she's secretly mad that she wasn't accepted, and this is just a form of jealous retaliation. And a lot of players didn't hesitate to share that opinion with Pyro and attack her. Unfortunately, that online backlash became intense enough that Pyro eventually had to make a public statement, asking the community for some grace and explaining why she chose to speak up in the first place. Her main point being, this wasn't simply that the design looked alike, it was that the developers had actually interacted with her original design, meaning they had seen her concept before releasing their own version that appeared extremely similar. Even if the resemblance was completely unintentional, she questioned why they would release a design so similar to hers when they knew it looked alike. When I spoke with Pyro directly, she expressed how difficult it actually actually was to speak up and how hard it's been navigating the line between standing up for yourself or just staying quiet because it's easier.
I think the biggest misconception is that I'm trying to cancel DTI, or that this is because I wasn't hired. Or even worse, I'm doing this for clout. None of those are true in the slightest. I found out almost a month before this happened that I didn't get the role, and that's fine. I've carried on creating art and DTI concepts because it's what I love to do. My concerns about the face are completely separate. As a smaller creator, it was upsetting to feel that my concerns were dismissed without people really listening to what I was saying, whether people agree with me or not. I think artists should be able to raise concerns respectfully without being made to feel belittled.
One thing specifically that she said really stuck with me.
Calling me jealous is easier than listening to why I spoke up. It's just avoiding the conversation.
I think that quote perfectly encapsulates how the situation isn't black and white as much as we'd like it to be. And it's actually very nuanced and worth having a conversation, even if it's uncomfortable. Some of you may or may not know this, but I am actually a full-time artist. I make my living selling my actual artwork, as in physical, not digital. And over the years, I've worked in professional productions and creative teams. And because of that, I naturally tend to relate with media from the perspective of the producer. So when I play video games, for example, while I love being a gamer and a consumer, my first inclination is always to look at it from the angle of what did it take for the devs to create this game? What would it be like to create this myself? How much time went into this? How did they animate that? Etc. When I look at the DTI developers, I don't just see an evil corporation. I know, like a lot of people do. I actually see a group of independent individual artists that happen to all come together and are attempting to build something creative under the limitations of who is actually the greedy overlord, which is the Roblox platform, but we can get into that another day. But anyway, at the same time, I also deeply understand Pyro's perspective too. As a working artist, sadly over the years, I have a lot of experience with this, as I've personally lost tens of thousands of dollars to people who have copied my artwork or who have tried to sell unauthorized reproductions. It's really sucked. Having your artwork taken without permission can truly affect someone's livelihood, and while Pyro admittedly does her DTI artwork for fun, I think the point still stands. Having your artwork somehow plagiarized for someone else's profit can be devastating for an artist. And that's exactly what makes this situation worth talking about. A lot of the conversation has been about if the face was copied, but I think we can actually go a little bit deeper and ask the question, who owns the face? Who owns the rights to it? And this would point us in the direction towards copyright law. Under copyright law, at least in the US, it doesn't really matter if you intentionally copied someone or not. It does make it worse. But you can still lose a copyright case even if you accidentally somehow copied somebody else's work without realizing it at all. So with that said, it is undoubted and a proven fact that Pyro conceived of and drew this makeup look first. But does DTI even have to care? I mean, they should, but legally, do they have to care? Because, you know, fan art exists in a strange legal gray area. To give you an example, technically, content creators like myself make videos featuring DTI's copyrighted assets without owning the assets ourselves. Most game studios allow that because it benefits everyone involved and it's kind of like free advertising for them. But content creators are allowed to do it because they're given permission, not because they actually have any legal ownership over the models or assets that they're featuring. Obviously, content creators do own the edits that they're editing, but they don't actually own the things that they're filming so frequently. Nintendo, for example, has public guidelines explaining that creators are allowed to monetize videos that include original commentary, but just reposting game assets without adding anything new isn't permitted. I don't believe that DTI has ever released an official content creation policy. However, I, for myself, try to abide to something similar to the one that Nintendo actually released. The point being made is that creative communities constantly exist in these gray areas where inspiration and copyright overlap. In this situation in DTI, because copyright protects creative expression, DTI could try to argue that the makeup faces in-game, like these, are actually part of their copyright, meaning the facial proportions, the eye shapes, the composition overall, could arguably fall under the DTI IP, and that fan art is actually an infringement. And no, I'm not a lawyer. I do deal with this a lot because I'm an artist. And I'm also not suggesting that Pyro or DTI should make this a legal issue. I hope that doesn't happen for anyone because legal battles really suck. But the point being is that all of this highlighted how incredibly complex ownership can actually be in situations like this. I'll give you one more example that closely relates to the situation. Disney. Anyone who's worked in the art world knows that Disney has a reputation for aggressively protecting its intellectual property. Over the years, there have been multiple public controversies in which artists have alleged that Disney used their fan-created designs on official merchandise without crediting or compensating them. And when they tried to fight back under the guise of copyright infringement, they discovered how legally complicated it was. The reason is that both parties may have legitimate intellectual property rights. The fan artist owns the creative elements they contributed, things maybe like the composition, the rendering, the colors, but Disney owns the underlying character and the franchise. Plus, Disney could argue that the fan art itself is considered an unauthorized derivative work and just flatly sue the fan artist. Because of that, these disputes are often incredibly difficult for independent artists to pursue. Even when an artist feels that their work has been copied, challenging a company as large as Disney can be expensive and legally uncertain. Obviously, DTI is not as big as Disney, but as an example, it's often hard for independent artists to do anything when a company takes their artwork. At the end of the day, I completely empathize with Pyro and would feel similarly had I been in her shoes. I also do want to believe that the DTI devs aren't so callous that they would just bluntly steal from a community member. However, no matter what I want to believe, there is obviously only one truth. And I will bluntly say is I don't know for certain whether Pyro's design was intentionally copied. And the truth is, I don't think any of us do. The only person who truly knows where the inspiration came from is Elune herself. What I do know is that the faces are similar, and I'm glad that Pyro had the guts to speak up about this, because conversations like this are important, especially in a community built almost entirely by artists and fueled and kept afloat by content creators. Going forward, I hope DTI considers more closely where they pull their inspirations from, particularly because the game is a commercial product. I think when you're selling something, the ethical bar is higher because we should try to make sure that we're not exploiting anyone for profit, intentionally or unintentionally. And I also hope that our community learns to approach situations like this with curiosity instead of just immediately jumping to insults or blindly picking a side because it's fun to have internet drama. And I'm not talking about Pyro or Elune. I'm talking about these no-face TikTok comments and people who are just spouting their opinion without really knowing what's going on. Both Pyro and Elune are incredibly talented artists, and whether the resemblance was intentional or truly an unfortunate coincidence, there are healthier ways for us as a community to help resolve the situation, and turning to harassment campaigns ain't one of them. So what do you think? Were you satisfied with how the DTI team handled the situation? If you're an artist yourself, have you ever had someone copy your work? Or have you ever been accused of copying or done it accidentally? It is an unfortunate thing that happens, but as artists, we all have to find a way to work together and hopefully support each other. I was happy to cover Pyro's story. I am sad that she wasn't able to join us, but again, I really want to thank her for speaking with me. I know that dealing with online bullying, especially when you didn't expect something to go viral, can really suck, so I wish the best for her. Show her some love, guys. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Please remember to be respectful of both Pyro and Elune, and thanks for watching. I'll see you out on the runway.